Captain Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the biggest space battle he had ever seen. Through the large window, thousands of alien ships fired at each other with bright beams of light. Explosions lit up the dark space like deadly fireworks. "How long has this been going on?" asked Navigator Park Ji-woo. She was young but smart, and her face looked worried as she watched the screens. 3 days now," Daeho replied. "Maybe longer. The computers can't count all the ships anymore." The battle was happening near a planet called Kepler 442b. 3 different alien groups were fighting each other. The Sorok looked like giant lizards and had green ships with sharp edges. The Viridians were made of living crystal and flew in ships that looked like floating diamonds. The Hive aliens looked like huge bugs and moved in dark ships that buzzed through space like angry wasps. Engineer Kim Bo-ra came up from the lower decks. Her hands were dirty from fixing machines, and she looked tired. "The engines are running. Hot, Captain. We should move further away." "Not yet," Daeho said. "Earth Command wants us to record everything." Communications Officer Choi Min-ho turned around in his chair. "Sir, I'm getting signals from all 3 fleets. They're asking each other to surrender, but nobody is listening." Daeho shook his head. This war had been going on for over 20 years. His father had told him stories about when it started. But even the adults back then didn't really understand why the aliens hated each other so much. Something about old fights over territory and trade routes. Now, nobody remembered the real reasons. They just kept fighting because that's what they had always done. The human ship Aurora's Edge was small compared to the alien warships. It was built for watching and recording, not fighting. Humans were not part of this war. The alien races thought humans were too weak and stupid to matter. They had been saying that for hundreds of years. "Look at that," Ji-woo pointed at her screen. A Sorok battleship was firing at a Viridian cruiser while a group of Hive fighters attacked them both. "They're so busy trying to kill each other they don't even notice we're here." Daeho had been thinking the same thing. The aliens were smart in many ways, but they fought like they were following an old book of rules. The Sorok always attacked, straight ahead with big guns. The Viridians always tried to surround their enemies in perfect formations. The Hive always swarmed together like real insects. "Sir?" Min-ho called out. "I'm getting a distress signal. It's not from any of the fighting ships." "Put it on the main screen," Daeho ordered. A fuzzy image appeared. It showed a desperate-looking alien with blue skin and 4 arms. Behind her, Daeho could see what looked like a medical station. "This is Dr. Zayla of the neutral medical station Hope. We have 3,000 refugees aboard, Sorok, Viridian, and Hive civilians. We are caught between the battle lines. Our shields are failing. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help." The image cut out. Min-ho tried to get it back, but there was too much interference from all the fighting. "Where is that station?" Daeho asked. Ji-woo checked her navigation computer. "It's right, in the middle of the battle zone, about 2 hours away at full speed." "That's suicide," Bo-ra said. "Our ship isn't built for combat. If we go in there, we'll be destroyed in minutes." Daeho looked at his crew. They were all young, like him. All of them had joined the human space service because they wanted to explore the galaxy and maybe make it a better place. But they had spent most of their time just watching other species destroy each other. "The regulations say we should not get involved in alien conflicts," Min-ho said quietly. "The regulations also say we should protect innocent life when possible," Ji-woo replied. Daeho thought about the 3,000 refugees on that medical station. They were not soldiers. They were just people who had been caught in the middle of a war that had been going on since before they were born. Families with children, doctors and teachers and farmers. People who just wanted to live in peace. "Captain," Bo-ra said, "even if we wanted to help, how could we? We can't fight all those warships. We don't need to fight them," Daeho said slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. "We just need to be smarter than them." He turned to his crew. "I'm going to ask you all to do something that might get us in big trouble with Earth Command. Maybe even court-martial. Are you willing to trust me?" The 3 crew members looked at each other. Then Ji-woo nodded. "What's the plan, Captain?" "We have one advantage," Daeho explained. "Our ship has experimental stealth technology. The aliens don't know about it because we've never used it in front of them. We can get close to that medical station without being detected. But getting close isn't the same as rescuing 3,000 people, Bora pointed out. Our cargo bay can hold about 500 people if we pack them tight, Deho said. We'll have to make 6 trips. 6 trips into the biggest space battle in galactic history? Minho asked. Captain, that's impossible. Maybe, Deho admitted. But those people will die if we do nothing. I can't live with that. He looked out at the battle again. More ships were exploding every minute. The aliens were so focused on destroying each other, they weren't thinking about anything else. That was their weakness. I'm not ordering any of you to come with me, Deho said. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to can take a shuttle back to Earth. Don't be stupid, Bora said with a small smile. We're all in this together. Jiwoo was already working on her navigation computer. I can plot a course that uses the asteroid field for cover. If we time it right, we can use the explosions from the battle to mask our engine signature. Minho started adjusting his communication equipment. I'll try to contact the medical station directly. Let them know help is coming. Deho felt proud of his crew. They were young and scared, but they were willing to risk everything to save strangers. That was what made humans special, he thought. Not their weapons or their technology, but their willingness to help others even when it was dangerous. All right, he said. Let's go save some lives. The Aurora's edge turned toward the battle zone. Behind them, alien fleets continued their endless war. Ahead of them, 3,000 refugees waited for a miracle. Deho hoped they could provide one. The Aurora's edge moved through space like a ghost. Its stealth systems made it nearly invisible to alien sensors. Captain Lee Deho watched the battle growing larger on his screens as they got closer to the medical station. Stealth holding. Steady, reported engineer Kim Bora from her station. But if we get too close to those big ships, they might detect us anyway. Navigator Park Jiwoo had found a path through the chaos. Following the asteroid belt will give us the best cover. We'll have to dodge some debris, but it's safer than going through open space. The battle was even more terrible up close. Deho could see individual ships being torn apart by enemy fire. Escape pods drifted through space, hoping someone would rescue them. Most would never be found. There, Communications Officer Choi Min-ho pointed at his screen. I found the medical station. The station looked like a giant white cross floating in space. It was designed to be peaceful and neutral, with no weapons at all. Red medical symbols were painted on its sides so everyone would know it was not a military target. But in this war, nobody seemed to care about rules anymore. Their shields are down to 30%, Jiwoo reported, and there's a Sarok destroyer heading right for them. They probably think the station is helping their enemies, Deho said. We need to move fast. The Aurora's edge slipped between 2 burning Viridian ships and approached the medical station. Deho could see the station's docking bay was damaged, but still working. Medical Station Hope, this is Captain Lee Deho of the human ship Aurora's Edge. We're here to help. Prepare for emergency evacuation. A surprised voice answered. Human ship? But your people never get involved in our wars. Today we do, Deho replied. How many people do you have? 3,012 refugees plus 47 medical staff. But your ship is too small to take everyone. We'll make multiple trips. Get your people ready to move. The first evacuation went smoothly. The Aurora's Edge docked with the medical station and loaded 500 refugees into its cargo bay. The people were scared but grateful. Most had never seen humans before. As they prepared to leave with the first group, 3 hive fighters spotted them. Unknown ship at medical station, came a buzzing voice over the radio. Identify yourself or be destroyed. This is a humanitarian rescue operation, Deho replied. We are not involved in your conflict. All ships in this area are enemy targets. The hive pilot responded. Prepare to die. The 3 fighters opened fire. Their green energy beams hit the Aurora's Edge just as it pulled away from the station. The shields held but barely. Evasive maneuvers, Deho ordered, Jiwoo spun the ship between two large pieces of debris. The Hive fighters followed, still shooting. But then something unexpected happened. A Sorok patrol ship saw the Hive fighters and assumed they were attacking a Sorok target. The lizard-like aliens opened fire on the Hive ships. "They're fighting each other again," Bora said with amazement. "They completely forgot about us." The Aurora's Edge escaped while the aliens shot at each other. Daeho took the first group of refugees to a safe distance and transferred them to an automated rescue beacon that would take them away from the battle. 5 more trips to go, he told his crew. The second trip was harder. More alien ships had moved into the area around the medical station. The station's shields were failing and parts of it were on fire. "Hurry," pleaded Dr. Zela as they docked. "The main reactor is becoming unstable." They loaded another 500 people, including many who were badly injured. The ship's small medical bay was soon full of alien refugees from all 3 species. It was strange to see Sorok, Viridian, and Hive civilians helping each other when their governments were trying to destroy each other outside. On the third trip, they met someone who would change everything. Dr. Yoon Hai-jin was a Sorok scientist who had been studying alien biology when the war reached her research station. She was tall and green-scaled like all her people, but her eyes were kind instead of fierce. "You are human," she said to Daeho as they helped load refugees. "I have read about your species. You solve problems differently than we do." "How so?" Daeho asked while directing people to safety. "Sorok always attack problems head-on with force. Viridians try to create perfect plans before acting. Hive species follow the group mind. But humans, you improvise. You adapt. You find new ways." Also among the refugees was engineer Nam Soo-bin, a Viridian whose crystal body glowed with soft blue light. She had been working on communication technology before the war disrupted her work. "Your stealth system," she said to Bora while they checked the ship's engines. "It uses probability field manipulation. Very clever. We never thought of that approach." The fourth trip almost ended in disaster. A massive Sorok dreadnought and a Viridian battle carrier were fighting directly above the medical station. Their heavy weapons were tearing space itself apart. "We can't get through that," Minho said as energy beams larger than their entire ship crossed back and forth. "Yes, we can," Daeho replied. He had been watching the battle patterns. They're not really fighting each other. They're following their standard tactics. The Sorok ship will fire its main guns every 47 seconds. The Viridian will launch missiles every 32 seconds. We can slip through between their attacks. "That's insane," Bora protested. "Maybe, but it will work." And it did. The Aurora's Edge darted between the giant ships, just as their weapons recharged. The aliens were so focused on their ancient fighting patterns, they never saw the small human ship slip past. The fifth trip was the most dangerous yet. The medical station was breaking apart. Whole sections had lost power and air. The remaining refugees were trapped in the central core. "This is our last chance," Dr. Zela told them over the radio. "The reactor will explode in 20 minutes. They managed to load the last group of refugees, including Dr. Zela and her medical team. But as they pulled away from the dying station, disaster struck. 3 ships from different fleets, a Sorok destroyer, a Viridian cruiser, and a Hive carrier, all converged on the same spot at the same time. They saw each other and immediately opened fire. The Aurora's Edge was caught directly in the middle. "All 3 fleets are targeting the area around us," Jiwoo reported with panic in her voice. "They think we're with one of the enemy sides." Energy, beams and missiles filled the space around them. The ship's shields were overloading. In the cargo bay, 3,000 refugees from all 3 species held each other in fear. "This is impossible," Minho said. "We can't fight all 3 fleets." But Daeho was watching the alien attack patterns. After years of war, each species had become completely predictable. They were like machines following old programming. "We don't need to fight them," he said quietly. "Look at what they're doing." The 3 alien fleets were so focused on destroying each other, they were actually coordinating their attacks without meaning to. The Sorok fired straight ahead. The Viridians tried to surround. The Hive swarmed together, all at exactly the wrong times. "They're going to destroy each other," Jiwoo realized. And us with them unless we get out of here right now, Bora added. The Aurora's Edge used its stealth systems and human unpredictability to escape the crossfire. Behind them, the three alien fleets continued shooting at each other, completely unaware that they had just shown a human captain the key to ending their war. As they flew away to safety with the last of the refugees, Daeho began to understand something important. The three alien species were so locked into their old ways of thinking, they couldn't see new solutions, but humans could. 3 weeks later, Captain Lee Daeho stood in a meeting room on Earth facing the most important people in the Human Defense Council. Outside the windows, he could see the blue oceans and white clouds of his home planet. After the horror of the alien war zone, Earth looked peaceful and beautiful. Admiral Song Kyung-suk sat at the head of the long table. She was older than Daeho's mother, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Around the table sat generals, scientists, and politicians who made decisions for all of humanity. So, Captain, Admiral Song said, you disobeyed direct orders, entered an active war zone, and rescued 3,000 alien refugees. Yes, ma'am, Daeho replied. He knew he was probably going to be punished, but he didn't regret what he had done. And in doing so, you learned something about how these three alien species fight. Yes, ma'am, they're completely predictable. Each species follows the same battle tactics they've used for hundreds of years. They never change or adapt. Dr. Kang Hyo-jin, the head of Human Strategic Intelligence, leaned forward. She was younger than the Admiral, but just as smart. Tell us more about what you observed. Daeho activated a holographic display that showed the battle patterns he had recorded. The Sauroch always attack in straight lines with maximum force. The Viridians always try to create perfect formations and surround their enemies. The Hive always swarms together and follows group tactics. And they never deviate from these patterns? Asked General Park Tae-woo. Never. Even when it would be smarter to try something different, they stick to their old ways. It's like they're trapped by their own traditions. Admiral Song exchanged glances with the other council members. Captain, you're not in trouble. In fact, you may have given us the key to something we never thought possible. Dr. Kang stood up and walked to a larger holographic display. Show him the big picture, she told her assistant. The display lit up with a map of the entire galaxy. Red areas showed Sauroch territory. Blue showed Viridian space. Green marked Hive worlds. Each colored area was huge, covering thousands of their star systems. This war has been going on for 23 years, Dr. Kang explained. Billions have died. Entire star systems have been destroyed. Refugee populations are in the trillions. And it's getting worse, added General Park. Each side thinks they're about to win, so they keep fighting harder. Admiral Song turned to Daeho. What would you say if I told you humanity could end this war? I'd say that's impossible, ma'am. We only have a few hundred ships. They have tens of thousands. Numbers aren't everything, Dr. Kang said with a slight smile. You proved that when you rescued those refugees. One small ship, using human thinking, accomplished what none of the alien fleets could do. She changed the display to show the refugee scientists that Daeho had rescued. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin, the Sauroch biologist, was working in a laboratory with human scientists. Engineer Nam Soo-bin, the Viridian crystal specialist, was teaching human engineers about energy manipulation. These refugees have been sharing their knowledge with us, Dr. Kang continued, and we've been sharing ours with them. The results are extraordinary. Admiral Song stood up. Captain, I'm promoting you to the rank of Major and assigning you to a new project. It's called the Harmony Protocol. What kind of project, ma'am? We're going to build a ship, she said. One ship that will end this galactic war. Daeho stared at her. One ship against 3 entire fleets? Not against them, Dr. Kang corrected. For them. We're going to save the galaxy from itself. The next day, Daeho found himself at the Titan shipyards, hidden in the outer solar system. What he saw there took his breath away. The shipyard was enormous, built inside the rings of Saturn. Thousands of human workers and hundreds of alien refugees were working together on the biggest construction project in human history. Chief Engineer Oh Tai-rang met him at the main platform. She was a small woman with oil-stained coveralls and the brightest smile he had ever seen. "Welcome to the future," she said, pointing up at the construction frame. The ship taking shape above them was like nothing Daeho had ever imagined. It was 15 kilometers long, with a hull that seemed to shift and change color in the light. Parts of it looked like living crystal, other parts seemed to be made of organic material, and some sections pulsed with energy he couldn't identify. "How is this possible?" he asked. Dr. Lim So-young, the project's head scientist, joined them. "By combining technologies from all 4 species," she explained. "The Sorok showed us how to create bioadaptive materials. The Viridians taught us crystal matrix energy systems. The Hive shared their distributed processing networks." "And humans?" Daeho asked. "We provided the most important part," O Tai Rang said. "The ability to make it all work together." They took him on a tour of the construction. In one section, Sorok refugees were helping human engineers grow armor plating that could heal itself when damaged. In another area, Viridian crystal specialists were teaching humans how to focus energy through living gems that could store the power of a star. "The weapon systems are based on Hive collective targeting," Dr. Lim explained as they walked through a corridor filled with strange machines. "But we've added human chaos theory calculations that can predict enemy movements." "It can think?" Daeho asked. "Better than that, it can adapt, just like humans do." They showed him the bridge, which was large enough for hundreds of crew members. At the center was a captain's chair surrounded by stations that could be operated by humans or any of the 3 alien species. "Who's going to command this thing?" Daeho wondered. "Someone with experience dealing with all 3 alien species," Admiral Song said, appearing behind them. "Someone who has already proven he can think outside the box." Daeho realized she was looking at him. "Ma'am, I'm not qualified to command a ship like this." "You're the most qualified person we have," she replied. "You understand how the aliens think, but you also know how to think like a human. That's exactly what we need." Over the following months, Daeho watched the ship grow. The refugees who had escaped the war were now building something that could end it. Sorok, Viridian, and Hive civilians worked alongside humans, sharing knowledge that their governments had kept secret for centuries. Dr. Yoon Hai-jin had become the ship's chief medical officer. "Your species fascinates me," she told Daeho one day as they watched construction crews install the bioadaptive armor. "Sorok see strength as the ability to destroy enemies, but humans see strength as the ability to protect friends." Engineer. Nam Soo-bin was now the head of energy systems. Her crystal body glowed brighter when she was excited, and she was excited most of the time. "The power core we've created," she explained, "could supply energy to an entire star system, but instead of using it to build bigger weapons, you want to use it to stop a war." "Is that strange?" Daeho asked. "To my people, yes. We always believed that having more power meant you should use it to gain more power. But you humans seem to think that having power means you should use it to help others." As the ship neared completion, Daeho began to understand what they had really created. It wasn't just a warship. It was a symbol of what the galaxy could become if different species worked together instead of fighting each other. The ship's computers could process information faster than any Hive collective. Its weapons could hit targets with more precision than any Viridian targeting system. Its defenses were stronger than any Sorok armor. But most importantly, it could do something none of the alien fleets could do. It could change. "What are we going to call her?" O Taerang asked as they watched the final pieces being installed. Daeho looked at the magnificent ship that represented the hopes of 4 different species. Refugees who had lost everything had worked together to build something that could save everyone. "The Unified Dawn," he said. "Because this is the beginning of something new." 18 months after construction began, the Unified Dawn was ready for its first mission. Captain An Jae-sung stood on the massive bridge, still amazed by what humans and aliens had built together. Jae-sung was older than Daeho, a veteran of the human space marines who had spent years watching alien wars from a distance. Now he commanded the most advanced ship in the galaxy, with a crew of 50,000 humans and 5,000 alien refugees who had helped design it. "All stations report ready," announced XO Park Yoonji from her position beside the captain's chair. She was young but experienced, having worked on the ship's construction from the beginning. "Weapon systems online," reported Tactical Officer Lee Dong-wook. His station was connected to targeting computers that used technology from all three alien species, enhanced by human adaptability algorithms. The bridge crew included representatives from each refugee species. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin managed the bioadaptive systems from her medical station. Engineer Nam Subin controlled the crystal matrix energy cores that powered everything. Hive engineer Zektar monitored the distributed processing networks that gave the ship its incredible computational power. "Where are we headed for our first test?" Jae-sung asked. "The Proxima sector," Yoonji replied, bringing up a star map. Long-range sensors detected a Sorok raiding fleet attacking civilian convoys. Perfect opportunity to test our systems. The Unified Dawn activated its hybrid drive system. Unlike the simple hyperspace jumps used by alien ships, the human vessel used a combination of technologies that allowed it to move through space in ways that shouldn't be possible. "Jump complete," reported navigator Kim Seolgi. "We're at the edge of the Proxima system." "What do we see?" Jae-sung asked. Dong-wook studied his sensors. 12 Sorok destroyers attacking a convoy of civilian freighters. The freighters are carrying refugees from all three species. On the main screen, they could see the attack happening. The lizard-like Sorok ships were using their typical tactics, straight-line attacks with maximum firepower. The civilian ships had no weapons and weak shields. Several were already burning. "The Sorok are demanding surrender," reported Communications Officer Choi Ye-jin. "But they're still shooting. They don't intend to take prisoners." "Analysis?" Jae-sung asked his tactical officer. "Classic Sorok raiding pattern," Dong-wook replied. "They'll destroy the escorts first, then board the freighters to steal cargo and capture slaves. Based on their current attack vector, they'll finish the job in about 15 minutes. Jae-sung looked around his bridge. 50,000 people from 4 different species were counting on him to make the right decision. This was their first real test. "Options? We could contact the Sorok fleet and ask them to stop," Ye-jin suggested. "They won't listen," Dr. Yoon said sadly. "My people respect only strength. They will see our requests as weakness." "We could threaten them," Dong-wook offered. "One ship threatening 12? Engineer Nam Soo-bin's crystal body flickered with skepticism. "Even if our ship is advanced, they will think we are bluffing. Then we show them we're not bluffing," Jae-sung decided. "But we do it the human way. Red alert. All hands to battle stations." The Unified Dawn moved toward the battle at a speed that should have been impossible for a ship of its size. The bioadaptive hull shifted color to match the background stars, making it nearly invisible until it was too late. "Sorok fleet, this is the human vessel Unified Dawn," Jae-sung broadcast on all frequencies. "You will cease your attack on the civilian convoy immediately." The response came quickly from the Sorok fleet commander. "Unknown ship, you are in Sorok hunting grounds. Leave now or be destroyed." "I don't think he understands," Yoonji said, quietly. "Then let's educate him," Jae-sung replied. "Tactical, prepare to demonstrate our capabilities." The Unified Dawn approached the Sorok formation with fluid grace. The alien ships tried to get target locks, but the human vessel's adaptive systems made it nearly impossible to hit. "Sorok fleet," Jae-sung broadcast again. "This is your final warning. You dare threaten us with one ship?" The Sorok commander laughed. "Attack formation, destroy the humans." All 12 Sorok destroyers opened fire at once. Green energy beams that could cut through battleship armor struck the Unified Dawn's shields. For a moment, the human ship was surrounded by brilliant explosions. When the light cleared, the Unified Dawn was undamaged. "Impossible," whispered the Sorok commander over the open channel. "Now it's our turn," Jae-sung said calmly. "Tactical, disable their weapons. No permanent damage." What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for years to come. The Unified Dawn moved through the Sorok formation like it was dancing. Its weapons fired with impossible precision, hitting, each enemy ship's weapon systems without damaging life support or engines. The targeting was so accurate that individual gun turrets were destroyed, while the hull plating around them remained untouched. In 12 minutes, the entire Sauroch raiding fleet was helpless. Their weapons were gone, their shields were down, but every ship was intact and every crew member was alive. "How?" the Sauroch commander asked in amazement. "How did you do that?" "By working together instead of fighting each other," Jae-sung replied. "Your weapons technology combined with Viridian precision targeting and high processing speed, all guided by human adaptability. The disabled Sauroch ships drifted in space, no longer a threat to anyone. Their crews were shocked into silence." "What happens now?" the Sauroch commander asked. "Will you destroy us?" "No," Jae-sung said. "We're going to let you go, but first, you're going to help us rescue the civilians you were attacking." For the next 3 hours, Sauroch warriors worked alongside the crew of the Unified Dawn to save the very people they had been trying to capture. It was the first time in decades that Sauroch had helped instead of hurt. Dr. Yoon worked with the Sauroch medical teams to treat injured refugees. "I had forgotten," she told Jae-sung as they watched Sauroch soldiers gently carrying wounded Viridian children to safety. "My people were not always warriors. We used to be explorers and builders." "What changed?" Jae-sung asked. "The war. 23 years of fighting made us forget everything except how to hurt others." When the rescue was complete, the Sauroch commander asked to speak privately with Jae-sung. "I am Fleet Commander Korthak," the big lizard-like alien said. "For 15 years I have led raids like this one. I thought it was honorable combat. And now? Now I see we have become pirates and bullies. We prey on the weak because we are afraid to face the strong." Korthak looked at the Unified Dawn with something like awe. "Your ship could have destroyed my entire fleet in seconds, but instead you chose to save lives, even ours. That's what strength really means," Jae-sung explained. "The power to protect, not the power to destroy." "I will remember this," Korthak promised. "And I will tell others." As the Sauroch fleet limped away, their weapons destroyed but their honor intact, the crew of the Unified Dawn realized they had accomplished something important. They had shown that there was another way to solve problems besides endless fighting. "One small step," Yoonji observed as they watched the rescued civilians being transferred to safety. "Every journey begins with one step," Jae-sung replied. "But this ship was built for a much longer journey." "To the Nexus system?" Dongwook asked. Jae-sung nodded. Long-range sensors had detected massive fleet movements in that direction. All 3 alien species were gathering their forces for what each believed would be the final battle of the war. "Yes, it's time to end this war once and for all." The Unified Dawn turned toward the heart of the galaxy, where the largest space battle in history was about to begin. In the ship's halls, 55,000 beings from 4 different species prepared for the most important mission any of them had ever undertaken. They were going to save the galaxy from itself. The Nexus system had become the center of hell. Captain An Jae-sung stood on the bridge of the Unified Dawn, watching the largest gathering of warships in galactic history prepare for mutual destruction. "Fleet composition analysis complete," reported Tactical Officer Lee Dong-wook. His voice was steady, but Jae-sung could see the shock in his eyes. "Sauroch Empire, 3,400 warships. Viridian Collective, 3,100 ships. Hive Confederation, 3,600 vessels. Over 10,000 ships," whispered Exopark Yoonji. "This will be the biggest space battle ever fought." Navigator Kim Seolgi pulled up a tactical display showing the 3 fleets arranged in a massive triangle around the Nexus star. Each fleet was positioned to attack the other 2 simultaneously. "They're all waiting for someone to make the first move," she observed. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin, the Sauroch medical officer, looked sadly at her people's fleet. "My species believes this will be the final victory. They have gathered every ship they can spare." Engineer Nam Subin's crystal body glowed with worried blue light. "The Viridian High Council thinks the same thing. They believe perfect coordination will win the day." Hive engineer Zektar buzzed sadly from his station. The Confederation has brought the Great Swarm. They plan to overwhelm all enemies through sheer numbers. So each side thinks they're about to win the war, Jae-sung summarized, which means they'll fight harder than ever, Dong-wook added. The casualties will be in the millions. Communications Officer Choi Ye-jin turned from her. Station. Captain, I'm monitoring their command frequencies. All 3 fleets are about to begin the attack. How long do we have? Maybe an hour. They're just waiting for their commanders to give final orders. Jae-sung looked around his bridge. Representatives from all 3 alien species worked alongside humans, proving that cooperation was possible. But outside, their home fleets were about to destroy each other. Distance to the battle zone? 2 hours at maximum speed, Seol-gi replied. Too long, Yoon-ji said. The battle will be over by the time we arrive. Not if we use the emergency jump system, suggested Chief Engineer Oh Tae-rang over the intercom. But it's never been tested at this range. The emergency jump was a combination of all 4 species' technologies: human chaos mathematics, Sarok bioadaptive navigation, Viridian crystal space folding, and Hive collective processing. In theory, it could move the ship instantly across vast distances. Risks? Jae-sung asked. We could end up anywhere in the galaxy, Oh Tae-rang admitted. Or scattered across several dimensions. The math is complicated. But if it works, we'll arrive in the middle of the battle zone in 30 seconds. Jae-sung made his decision. All hands prepare for emergency jump. This is what we built this ship for. The unified dawn began to change. The bioadaptive hull rippled like living skin. Crystal matrices throughout the ship glowed with stored energy. Processing networks hummed as they calculated impossible equations. And at the center of it all, human intuition guided the chaos. Jump initiated, Oh Tae-rang announced. Space twisted around them. For a moment that felt like forever. The ship existed everywhere and nowhere at once. Then reality snapped back into focus. They had arrived in the exact center of the Nexus system, surrounded by 10,000 alien warships. Emergency jump successful, Seol-gi announced with amazement in her voice. We're exactly where we wanted to be. And we have perfect timing, Ye-jin added. The battle is just beginning. Around them, the 3 fleets were opening fire. Brilliant energy beams crossed the space between enemies like deadly lightning. Missiles streaked through the darkness like angry stars. The first ships were already exploding. Sir, Dong-wook called out, all 3 fleets have detected us. They're asking us to identify ourselves. And what are they assuming about our allegiance? The Sarok think we're a secret Viridian superweapon. The Viridians believe we're a new Hive battle platform. The Hive is convinced we're an advanced Sarok vessel. So they all think we're working for their enemies, Jae-sung said, which means they'll all try to destroy us, Yoon-ji finished. Perfect. Jae-sung smiled grimly. That gives us everyone's attention. The massive human ship hung motionless in space as the battle raged around it. Ships 10 times smaller than the unified dawn fired at each other with weapons that could crack planets. But none of them fired at the mysterious vessel in their midst. Open a channel to all fleets, Jae-sung ordered. All frequencies, all languages. Channel open, sir. Jae-sung stood up from his captain's chair. In his voice was the authority of someone who had seen too much death and was determined to stop it. Attention, all fleets. This is Captain An Jae-sung, of the human vessel Unified Dawn. You will cease hostilities immediately. The response was immediate and predictable. All 3 fleet commanders began talking at once, demanding to know who the humans thought they were and ordering them to leave. Unknown vessel, came the harsh voice of Sarok Supreme Commander Graktor. This is a military engagement. Withdraw or be destroyed. Unidentified ship, said the melodic tones of Viridian Fleet Coordinator Lis Andra. Your presence disrupts our battle formations. Depart immediately. Strange craft, buzzed the collective voice of the Hive battle mind. You do not belong in our hunting grounds. Leave or face the swarm. I don't think they're taking us seriously, Dong-wook observed. Then, let's change that, Jae-sung replied. Tactical, prepare the demonstration protocol. Sir, that will reveal all our capabilities at once, Yoon-ji warned. Good. Let them see what they're really dealing with. The unified Dawn suddenly came alive. Its sensors reached out and touched every ship in the system simultaneously. In seconds, it had analyzed the exact position, armament, shield strength, crew complement, and tactical status of all 10,000 vessels. "How is this possible?" gasped Fleet Coordinator Lysandra. "No ship can scan our entire fleet at once." "Impossible sensor resolution," agreed Supreme Commander Graktor. "Our stealth systems should make us invisible." All ships revealed, the Hive Battlemind admitted with confusion. "Detection exceeds all known parameters." "That was just our passive scans," Jae-sung announced calmly. "Now let me show you our active capabilities." The unified Dawn began to move. Despite its enormous size, it flowed through space like liquid mercury. The bio-adaptive hull shifted and changed, making it nearly impossible to target. Crystal Matrix. Shields deflected incoming fire while Hive network targeting systems locked onto hundreds of enemy ships simultaneously. But the humans didn't attack. Instead, they demonstrated. Every few seconds, the unified Dawn would fire a single, precise shot that would disable one small weapon on one enemy ship. A missile launcher here, a laser turret there. The targeting was so accurate that it could remove individual components while leaving everything else untouched. In 5 minutes, the great human ship had fired exactly 100 shots and disabled 100 different weapons on 100 different ships from all 3 fleets. The message was clear. We could destroy any ship here at any time, but we choose not to. "This is impossible," Supreme Commander Graktor said in a stunned voice. "No ship can move like that. No targeting system can be that precise," Fleet Coordinator Lysandra agreed. "No vessel can process that much tactical data," the Hive Battlemind added. "You're all correct," Jae-sung replied. "No ship built by any single species could do what we just did. But this ship wasn't built by just one species." He gestured to his bridge crew. "Dr. Yoon Hae-jin, tell your people how this ship was created." The Sarok medical officer stepped forward. "Supreme Commander Graktor, I am Dr. Yoon of the 32nd Research Fleet. This vessel was built using Sarok bioadaptive technology, combined with Viridian crystal matrices, Hive processing networks, and human innovation." "Impossible," Graktor snarled. "No species would share their military secrets." "Not their military secrets," Engineer Nam Subin said, her crystal body glowing brighter. "Fleet Coordinator Lysandra, we shared our knowledge willingly, as refugees seeking a new way to end this war." "Refugees?" Lysandra asked in confusion. "Survivors of your attacks on civilian stations," Hive Engineer Zektar buzzed. "Battlemind, we chose to work with humans rather than continue the cycle of death." The 3 fleet commanders fell silent. For the first time in decades, they were faced with something completely unexpected, a ship that combined the best technologies of all their species, operated by people who had chosen cooperation over conflict. "What do you want?" Supreme Commander Graktor finally asked. "For you to stop killing each other," Jae-sung replied simply. "This war has accomplished nothing except death and suffering. It's time for it to end." "End?" Fleet Coordinator Lysandra laughed bitterly. "This war will end only when our enemies are destroyed." "Then you'll be fighting forever," Jae-sung said, "because none of you are strong enough to defeat the other 2. You're perfectly matched in your ability to cause destruction." "We'll see about that," the Hive Battlemind declared. "Resume the attack. All ships, ignore the human vessel, and continue." "The mission." The 3 fleets opened fire on each other again. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the unified Dawn. But Captain An Jae-sung was ready for this. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity had been preparing for this moment.